moment, what you see, because you have your finger on the pulse of everything that's going on around. What do you see as the biggest challenges for the church going forward right now at this moment?
Yeah, well, I'm going to correct you on one thing, which
No.
is I certainly don't have my finger on the pulse of everything going on.
Well, more than most.
Well, more than most because I wade into the swamp every single day, and so yeah, I can maybe more than most. Yeah. So I think the big danger here is that we'll lose all historic perspective. I think the now is so, and look, what does the now have now? Now is milliseconds on Twitter or X or
Yeah.
Whatever
it is
Elon Musk
now,
is going to
whatever
call
you
it tomorrow.
Yeah. Yeah.
But in other words, so the now, people always have talked about the Christian challenge of, getting out of the now into, a larger perspective of time and God's purposes. I think it's a lot more difficult now. No pun intended. I think it's very difficult. So one of the things I say is read books, not tweets. I'm not saying don't care what's on social media, but I mean, you can't care too much. But the Christian church leans into like lots of words, not just a few words, leans into comprehensive arguments. Like I say, I don't trust people who argue with 280 characters. If that's all they do, I don't even have time to paste them all together, you know, and most of them couldn't be. Give me a book and I'll take it seriously. It's what I do in my program, Thinking in Public. Most of those conversations with people with whom I disagree, but they've written a major book, and now we got something to talk about, buddy. And so I'm exhilarated by that. And I consider it an honor that major publishers want me to do these programs with their authors, and they know I'm coming from a very different viewpoint. But you know what? I had a guest tell me we talk more about my book than any of the other book programs I've been on. Well, it's because we take it seriously. And so all I can say is we got to get out of the how do I get through the next 15 minutes? Not that that's irrelevant. We got 15 minutes we got to answer for here. But how do we do anything for the long haul? And I think right now you've got young people who say, I'm just scared to have kids. Well, the answer to that is, first of all, I'm assuming you're married, and that's a man and a woman in marriage. So let's just start there. But you know what? If you're not scared to have kids, you're an idiot. So go have kids. In other words, anyone who thinks, gosh, this is so hard these days, my goodness, look at the book of Romans and tell me how hard things, can get.
Gosh. Or First Peter. Oh,
right. Oh, and it gets worse. It gets worse, and yet, the Christian responsibility is, I love church history. I did a Thinking in Public with Peter Brown, who invented a whole area of history in late antiquity, which is now in major universities. He's at Princeton he was writing in his 10th decade of life. How's that for an aspiration? But
wow.
He points out, he said, look, Christianity's impact on the Roman Empire was not just in terms of morality and truth and all the rest. It was, hey, plant a field, plow that field, put seed in it, and build a civilization. And he said that was Christianity. That was Augustine. That was the battle between Augustine and the Pelagians. And the Pelagians were saying, let the field go fallow. And Augustine's saying, no, plant the field. People are hungry. Go have babies. Get married. Build a village. Start a business. This is human flourishing. And plant a church. And may it be a gospel church. And may it preach the word. And give your life in due sequence and proportion to everything God has given us in stewardship, and go to bed at night, every night, tired and with something to do that wakes you up in the morning.